It's the turning point of the season.
Just hit the like button if you can hear anything. If you cannot hear anything, it's likely you wouldn't be able to follow that instruction. Hi guys, if you're here and you can hear me, just drop a like or drop a little comment. Let's just make sure that you guys can hear me. Hi, good evening. What's good people? We're just getting warmed up. We've got me. Welcome to our whole live stream for the broken but not wasted, the broken but still valuable series. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, a big thank you to those who joined the last live. I know he loves me. I know he cares. Whenever I call, he always is right there. In times of trouble, he is my help. Yeah, I know your fear. I know he'll be right there. He really knows. God really moves on. God really moves on. Really moves on. All right. Okay, so sound is not an issue. We're live, we're living, we're moving. Let me just rearrange this, give myself a little, even out. So actually, the reason why I opted to do a live video rather than to do a pre-recorded or an edited video was because of the interaction. I want to be able to connect with people. I want to be able to connect with my audience. I want to be able to connect with my community. And I think like real time is really a great one. To be very honest with you, because of the technology these days, you can watch this video at any point in time, anytime you're ready. So we're gonna get moving. Probably another 2 minutes. In the background, it's a song by a young dude called Chandler Moore, and the song is called Onema. And in the song, he's basically talking about how literally God is able to come through. It doesn't matter what the situation looks like, God is able to come through. Akpan, Patrick, Emmanuel, North Love, big man, welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to have you here. Nice to meet you online. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me well? Right? Okie dokie. So let's get moving. Let's get this party started. Thank you very much to all of those who have already logged in. Big up my brother Skills. Actually, in the coming months, we'll have Skills here with me to come and share, man. Skills is one of those people that I've known since I was maybe like 12, 12 or 13 years old. And he's a grown man. He's a very pan-African, very community orientated. He's very sound. Like he's one of the people that when I reason with him, I don't think I'm too out there. So, okay, yes, I can hear you well. Excellent. Thank you very much, Akpan. How are you guys doing? Please, if you can, just punch in. Let me know where you're streaming in from tonight. Actually, we're streaming live on both Facebook and YouTube. So you can imagine I'm trying to just do multiple streams, and then I'm also recording a master backup as well so that we're able to edit these clips later on. Always for the one. Always for the one. So I'll get to the point. I'll get to the point. It's just that each time I hear this tune, like I can't help but vibe. There's just something about this song that makes me know that I'm not alone. Excellent. GWB, green, white, and blue. Sierra Leone up in here. Leave the 99, always for the one. Thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this live. The other day, we ended up going a little bit over time. So it is my intention this time around to get straight through to it. Maybe 90 minutes, if that is very long given. We want to get there. I literally have 4 simple points that I want to share that I want to discuss, and then we'll move on to something else. So, thank you for joining us. I wanted to really just be very clear. I did get a lot of messages. I appreciate all the texts, all the DMs, all the comments, the phone calls. Got messages from across the globe, really, different continents, and just different people who I have not had the opportunity to connect with for a very long time. Like I've got these guys in, and they're watching, they're following, they're commenting, and most of all, they're sharing. So I really just want to thank everyone who took the opportunity to join us on the last live. And I promise to make this worth your while. Okay? So I think it's really important at this point that I mentioned that the last session, the last live, the last discussion, the last testimony was not about a victory dance. It's not about celebrating. It's not about jumping around headlessly. It's literally a call to arms for soldiers of light. What do I mean? Well, clearly there's so much in the world right now where we are at a stage where we have to be very clear about which side we're on. Like it's either you're on the side of light or you're on the side of darkness. It really is that simple. And for those who are like, oh, well, I'm not really involved, I'm not really into anything dark, I'm in the middle. I can tell you for sure that you're actually on the side. You're more inclined to be on the side of darkness. And what am I trying to say? When we talk about darkness and light, we're talking about the longest battle that has been in existence since the beginning of time. We're talking about people who stand for the things that make our world better. We're talking about light in the sense of how do we improve our community outcomes? How do we improve our life outcomes? You know? And to a certain extent, we realize that for a very long time, our people have been distracted. What do we mean? We've been using religion, we've been using um, gender, we've been using race, we've been using all kinds of things to fight and to, if you like, to bring more divide and bring more chaos. When in reality, we have more things that unify us as humans and bring us closer together as humans. And specifically tonight, one of the conversations that I'm going to be touching on, or one of the conversation points that I'm going to be touching on, is really to do with understanding how leadership and politics has affected the land that we love. Um, as we were here on New Year's Day, it was New Year's Day in the evening, whilst we were doing that live, I got a message yesterday that actually one of our friends and colleagues, a young lady by the name of Nazgatu, lost her daughter at number two beach. The daughter had gone out for New Year's Day, and there was a young girl that was in trouble. And somehow, this girl decided to go and help. The Epwe go for go Epikin, and the Insel go fasten our. And according to all reports and indications, they have not even been able to retrieve her remains. And so it's the start of the year, and already this my friend is a very hardworking lady. I met her. She was from Lincoln University. They came in for work experience, and through the work experience, we were able to, really create a lot of opportunities and different avenues for her to be able to also learn, express, and earn some money whilst on the job. Um, and for me to hear this news, I'm really devastated. I just really want to shout out and say that my heart goes with the entire Sise family at home and abroad. May God console Una for this really irreparable loss of this gentle young lady. So, people of God, this is really the point that I'm making, and that is why this is not a victory dance. This conversation here is not about oh, I won, I overcame, la da 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 da, let's come and dance. No. Actually, this conversation tonight is, as I mentioned before, it is a call to arms for soldiers of light. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that if you know that you are on the side of light, you know right from wrong, and you choose right, um, this is a reminder that there's something happening. We've started a new year. This is not the time to get complacent. This is not the time to be afraid. This is not the time to be stressed out. This is really the time for us to have clarity of thought. This is the time for us to be very sure of what we want and how we want to go about getting that which we want. So the word says the devil is like a roaring lion going to and through the earth looking for who to devour, who to consume. And that is the truth. And so sometimes that's why some of us are very serious in the way we do things. They're like, lighten up, man, relax. You say, are you serious? Are you the mix? So you say, you're not going to relax. But boy, you waiting, do you? The reality is we're playing for life. The big commodity, the real thing that is at stake is our life. And let me tell you what I mean. So it doesn't matter how much money we get in this world, it doesn't matter how wealthy or how established we become in this world, right? Um, our money can give us all kinds of things, all kinds of advantage, all kinds of access, all kinds of exposure, all kinds of advantage. But the reality is that our money cannot buy life. Unless through special, divine, and miraculous interventions, once life is over. And to be honest with you, it is only at that point that we realize how valuable our lives are. It is only at that point that we realize that the true commodity now life's inself. Life is our truest commodity. And what I want to share this evening is an observation that builds from a big manipulation and cultural deception. Wait, I mean, I know Campo can speak all this big English for no reason. I came here to say that our world has been designed to rob us of our humanity, and it's a big sentence. But what do I mean? Similar to everyone else, we're born. When we're born, we don't really know anything. We're born into a certain tribe, we're born into a certain culture, we're born into certain social settings. And whatever it is that is believed, that is what we follow. And for most of the times, welcome Abdul Malik Sawane. Um, Good to have you here. Most of the times, what we believe is what we have been told, and we don't really have the tools or the capacity or the ability to question any of those things quite early on. Um, so we follow those things, we follow through on what we have been told and how we have been programmed. However, it is the responsibility of every human being, dare I say, every young person, that once we get to a certain age, we must start to question things. We must start to ask lots and lots of questions, because once we start to ask questions, we will be able to understand really what's happening around us. Okay. For those who watched the last live, you already know where the story are. Where were we now in the story? So we know that there's a war child who went through a civil war and was traumatized. We know that they were taken to another country. When they got to that country, they were very miserable. They didn't really settle very well quite early on. We know that they were almost stabbed for making a joke that was not a culturally appropriate. We know that very soon after that, they found themselves homeless. And we know that through their time on the streets, they were helped by people who we can only describe as God sent. We know that from that point in time, this young man was able to navigate through life and select education, select knowledge, select positivity, as opposed to just really getting into trouble and getting up to no good. We also know that as soon as this young man had the opportunity, he traveled back to his beloved motherland, which is the country
called Sierra Leone. And the reality of this is that at a time when a lot of people are leaving the African continent, a lot of people they jackpot, a lot of people they run away. Um, this young man was on his way back to a place that is or has been more or less forbidden. Now, when he arrived, everything wasn't as rosy as he had expected. The first big major deal that he thought they were going to make crazy money and he was going to buy that white Range Rover, it didn't happen. It turns out that some other people had a different opinion or different idea of how it was going to go down. In the middle of it, they lost a lot of money, close to $150,000. Whilst they're in the process of recouping, this young man returns back to London with less than £30 in his pocket. Around the same time, he finds out that he's going to be a father for the first time, and he literally has to reevaluate his own life. We move on 2, 3 years from that. He does return to Sierra Leone despite the heartbreak, produces some award winning videos for people like Drizzly, people like Young Sal, Famous, Maurice, etc., etc., etc. He almost drowns at the world famous number two beach. And at that point in time, that's when he has an epiphany. His eyes are open and he's able to see life and see everything very clearly in front of him. And from that point on, this young man starts to live a very intentional life, questioning every single choice that has been made on his behalf, that he has made, that has been made for him. And as the years progress, he meets a young lady who he believes is the flesh of his flesh and the bone of his bone. And the two became one and they continued on the journey. Now, some way through the journey, he's able to get this really big appointment, so to speak, big job, big position. And within this big position, as he's doing his work quietly, he wakes up one morning to find that he is blind. Not only is he blind, he's blind in a country where there's nobody that can treat him. So here's a 30 something year old man at the height of his career, height of his family and his family and personal development. He loses his eyesight in a country that even when you can see, then they try for pass up by you. Imagine now where you know they see, right? Um, Again, in the middle of all of it, he is referred to somewhere where he might be able to get some treatment, somewhere where they might be able to do something for him. And like play, through the special grace of God, he has to go on this journey to regain his eyesight. Ladies and gentlemen, that young man is myself, and I am grateful to be here this evening to give this testimony. As I mentioned before, I'm not here to share all of this to give a victory dance because we haven't really reached um, the end yet. The final whistle hasn't been blown yet. And as I always say to my brother CD, we do not celebrate until after the whistle has been blown. We do not celebrate until after the final results have been announced. In fact, the reason why I'm doing this video is a call, it's an invitation for all of the soldiers of light, those who know they are soldiers of light, those who believe that they were sent here for a reason. And part of the reason why they were sent here is to do good, is to do God's work. This is why I am making this live tonight. And I'm hoping that even if I can reach just one person, even if I can speak some truth that will resonate with just one person and it makes a difference to their life, I think my job here is done. My name is Nicholas Olubumi Franklin Asgill. I am a multimedia personality. I work within the youth and developing sector. I work within community empowerment and I work in communications. My job is very simple. I am here to learn, I am here to grow, and I'm here to share what I pick up along the way. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I continue the story from a hanging point. And the hanging point is this: a young man is now diagnosed as basically being blind, and they're given 5 days to get expert treatment, expert specialist treatment. If they're unable to do that, it's likely that they will never regain their sight again. It turns out that in order to be able to make that activity, in order to be able to make that medical mission come to life, they have to travel, and the full expenditure of that traveling is around 20 something $1,000. Bearing in mind, this is November. This is somewhere in the middle of slow season, and if he calculates all the savings he already has, he barely has about $5,000. Where is he going to get the remaining amount of money? So I'll tell you how that story ends as we proceed. Please, thank you very much if you're here and you can still hear me and the sound has not clicked out on you. Please just drop a like or drop a little comment. Let me know that I'm not streaming mute. Okay. Um, I have a few questions, I have a few comments, and I have a few requirements they want me to answer. I have a few requests to answer some questions here, which I will jump onto shortly. But again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for taking your time to join us on this second part. If you like this closing leg of our life, and I just want to invite you to continue to stay with us as we proceed. There used to be a rap song, as we proceed to give you what you need. All right, so I am I'm just doing a little readjustment of the camera angles. And as promised, I have a few questions here to respond to. So the first question I have is, how was I able to cope with the how was I able to cope with the fear of being blind? How was I? Well, the way I was able to cope with the fear of being blind was very simple. I tried not to think about it. I kept praying and I kept focusing on a positive outcome. So, for those who know me or who know me well, I should say, one of the things they will tell you is that I'm a very positive person. Like, I always focus on the positivity, and sometimes this totally annoys a lot of people, to be honest. It really gets on their nerves, and somehow they assume that I am not trying to face responsibility or I'm not trying to deal with the reality. But actually, in my mind, as far as I am concerned, my job is very simple. My job is to always find a solution. Whenever I face a major challenge, I go straight to, how do I figure out what the solution is? If I can figure out the solution, then that makes it a lot more better than if I'm just literally focused on whatever the challenges are, and whatever the limitations of a particular situation might be. So, at the point in time when I couldn't see, at the point in time when I lost my eyesight, the way I was able to get through was continually focusing on the end, was continually focusing on the result. Like, okay, how do we fix this? What happens? What's the solution? What are we going to do to make this thing better? What are we going to do to get a good solution? And to be honest with you, I now understand why they say mind over matter. I now understand what they mean when they say mind over matter. I now understand when the word says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." So in my heart, I was very defiant. I was very defiant. Imagine, like, I can't see anything, and I'm telling myself I will see. I will regain my sight, and not only will I regain my sight, I will regain a vision that is bigger than me. I will regain a vision that is stronger than me. And I'm so grateful because as we have this conversation today, not only was I, through the grace of the special grace of God, able to regain my sight, but also I was able to regain my vision. And my vision has been very critical. What do I mean by my vision? If you follow the story very well, you will realize that there was a point in time where I had all but just given up. I was literally just like fed up. I'm quiet now. I'm just going to lay low. I'm just going to keep my head down and I'm just going to work on myself, just live my life personally, quietly, do my own thing. But once my sight was regained, I also picked up something. And what I picked up was my vision. My vision, not only for me as an individual, my vision, not only for my family or my immediate family, but my vision for my country, my vision for my nation, my vision for my continent. These were the things that I think were the most important to me, and they're the areas that I had lost energy and passion for. So when it all started coming back to life, that was really one of the great blessings that was afforded to me. The fact that I was able to regain my passion, the fact that I was able to do all the things which I ought to have been doing, um, as part of my mission from the beginning. Um, so I don't mean to segue, but just from a very realistic perspective, um, part of the reason why I became one of the reasons why I became disorientated, one of the reasons why I became cheesed off at a point in time was simply because I realized that the dream that I had of my country was so far from the reality that it was dangerous. And if I didn't take my time to align my dreams and make sure that what my expectations were realistic, I would have ended up in a serious case of self delusionment, right? I would be deluding myself. And what do I mean deluding? I'll be lying to myself. One of the things I realized, and maybe it's a bit of a hot one going straight into it, but maybe we'll just go straight into the whole political thing. As far as I am concerned, I have lost a lot of faith in politics in SL. And why is that? Because this is my observation. Please, anywhere that I am wrong or if I don't make sense somewhere, please correct me ASAP. Okay. Um, to my knowledge, to my knowledge, the two main political parties we have in Sierra Leone have always been in power. There has never been a third party that has had the opportunity to rule, other than the moments where we had the junta government, where we had the soldiers, military government, Saudi Arabian government, and within those systems, but never ever have we had the opportunity to go and vote and through our vote selected a third party. Why is that important? Why is that even relevant? Well, that is relevant and important because if you want to trace the reason why the country is where it is, we only got to follow the people who have been in charge. And we may want to blame the British, and we could probably, in some cases, blame the British. But if we look at it, when the British were there, things were working. We had the railway, we had a good import and export ratio. we had order, we had law and order, very importantly. So we can blame them for not being us and wanting to lead us, and because of that Pan-African stuff, we can really be a bit difficult and right and try to put a lot of blame on the British. But the British have been gone for nearly 70 years now. Nearly, we're going towards that direction now. And since the British have been gone, there are two groups of Sierra Leoneans that have ruled Sierra Leone. They are the APC and the SLPP. And when you really go back, the first thing that you discover is that the APC was born out of the SLPP. So, in essence, the APC and the SLPP are the same people then. And even if we are not entirely satisfied with that, which is actually a fact. So, whether you're satisfied or not, that is a fact. The SLPP was the only party. Then they had some dissension in between. Then the APC was born out of the SLPP, right? Now, the reason why I say this is sometimes we are very confused as to how this thing works. We're very confused as to how this thing works because we're blaming this party, we're blaming that party, and we get caught up in the party politics. And my people, I want to tell you today that that party politics, it is a bit of a distraction. In fact, it is the greatest distraction that has been employed to keep us from fully understanding what's happening. So, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to vote either APC or SLBP. It's always been like that. And for as long as we continue the current it's what it's going to be. But have you realized that either APC or SLPP, we get roughly the same thing? Do you know what I mean? That's because it's roughly the same people. And even outside of that, any party we will get for putting a power at any point in time will be made of the same Sierra Leonean. So before we begin criticize the parties, let's figure out what it is that makes us as Sierra Leoneans. How is the average Saloman? How Saloman in town? How do we think? What do we do? What do we build? What are we growing on? If we don't have a clear understanding of who we are and what we want to be and where we want to be, we will keep dressing the same problems in new political parties or in one of the existing political parties, and we will never get to see the kind of results that we ought to see. Um, for me, I've never taken any party card for any political party. My parents never really showed me any political party. We didn't really grow up in an environment where we were forced to come and, choose which political party we wanted to be. All we've always really been looking for is a decent life. All we've always been looking for is a good life. And we didn't really care which political party offers that. We just wanted to make sure that there's electricity, we can have access to food, we've got good roads, we've got healthcare, our children have education, and we're able to live a peaceful life. And before una beats me, before una lap me, I need you to understand that me, Naposue, come from a long lineage of people that have been on slavery. And if you know anything about slavery, slavery lasted for about 400 years. So I can just assume that my ancestors, after 400 years of Yagba, of Alaala, of up and down, of fighting, of all kinds of issues, that they just got to a stage where they're like, yeah, now we just want to take it easy. We just want to relax. We don't want to fight with anyone. We don't want to struggle with anyone. We just want to relax. And that is very fair. And so, therefore, when it comes to politics, that mentality is what we are taught. Like, we just take it easy. It doesn't matter who's in power. We serve the government of the day. We respect the head. We respect authority. We respect the leadership. And we make sure that we do our very best to put our country on the map. That has been the orientation in which we were raised up. Na so then train we, na so then men we, na so we don't day. Um, my first election experience was 1996. Obviously, I was very young. There's not really much to talk about. I wasn't old enough to vote, so that's where that story ended. The one thing I remember from that election, though, was Temu Bangura, PDP Sobe. I remember John Carifa Smart. I remember there was another guy, something Luke. and then Alhaji Ahmed Tijan Kabah. Those are the things that I remember. But outside of that, we were not very heavily consumed by politics. Like we're just very easygoing, as I mentioned. After 400 years of slavery, we cannot be bothered to fight with anyone over anything. If you really mean that much to you, you take them. Do you know what I mean? And so that's really what the position has been of the Creole people since the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Whether I agree with them or not, that's neither here or there. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that after 400 years of fighting and struggle, they just wanted a quiet and peaceful life. Now, um, my second election experience was 2018. And 2018 was very interesting for me because I got to, as an adult, experience how we choose leaders, how we select our leadership. And it was just the strangest thing. It was the strangest thing because we had all seen how APC was performing. We had already seen that there were some gains and they made some strides in some areas, but also there were some appalling governance issues in some areas. And like everybody else, we wanted a change. I wanted a change. We wanted to see a change. But also instinctively, I always thought that, well, maybe SLPP probably isn't the best option of change because it's like taking a party, a party that was born from that party that is practically the same thing, just and reverse. And then for the rest of our lives, we're going choose one of the two, choose one of the two. I didn't think there was much of a choice. My late mom used to say, out of two evil, choose one. Better the devil you know than the angel you don't. Well, I understand the logic behind that, but here's the thing. The devil I know is the devil. Is as good as they get, there will be a devil. Angel they get, there will still be an angel. I'll take my chances with the angel. But unfortunately, most people don't really subscribe to that. So we have this perpetual loop of just selecting the same caliber of people each time. I'll be honest, I didn't vote for APC, I didn't vote for SLPP, so you go and figure out. I didn't vote for either of the two. And I don't regret it. To be very honest with you, I feel like the kind of change that our people deserve, the kind of progress and development our people deserve, we haven't had a government that has been able to deliver on that. And so what happens is that each time we are like APC, APC, na so APC, lo pull out, where SLPP come. Then SLPP come, oh SLPP, na so SLPP, na so SLPP, they pull out, wing APC. I know, we'll just keep doing that. We'll keep doing that. And the reality is we could do that for the next 150 years complete. We will see no changes, we'll see no progress, we'll see no development. But here's what I will tell you. The reality is until we get up and say, you know what, we want to find a different way to do it. How are we going to be able to create a system where it doesn't matter who is in power? The people from the north will enjoy, the people from the south will enjoy, the people from the east will enjoy, and the people from the west will enjoy. How do we get to that level of maturity? I was watching an interview with Flight Lieutenant Jerry J. Rollins, and the lady was interviewing him. Oh, are you sure that the next person won't just come and change? And JJ Rollins said, what we're trying to build in Ghana is a system that works for every Ghanaian. So it doesn't matter who's in power; they can't just come and change and do whatever they want. And so we want to adopt that same approach in Salone because for as long as we're doing this, it will benefit the few, but the majority will suffer. I opened this live with my friend, with a story about my friend on New Year's Day, whose daughter went to help another little child, to save another little child from drowning, and she ended up drowning. And as we speak tonight, they have not been able to retrieve her remains. I am heartbroken by that. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen in other countries, but come on, for all small, we not say people then they left now at New Year's Day, right? Are you telling me that as a country, we don't have lifeguards, we don't have any system that safeguards their lives. We don't have any system that can help, that can that can cushion some of these heartaches and these painful experiences that people have to go through. I find it ridiculous. I don't think it's fair that we should be living in a country where the rest of the world is working very hard to try and safeguard their citizens. But to us, the life of our citizens really don't mean much. And it's not that it's because anybody is deliberately wicked. It's just like the sin of negligence. Like, I'm supposed to do this. This is my job. If I do my job, the next guy does his job, the next lady does her job, everything works, right? But I won't do my job well. The lady doesn't do her job. They don't do their job. They blame me. I blame them. They blame me. And then nothing works. And in the meantime, whilst we're doing the blame game, innocent lives are being lost. Our infant mortality rate still remains shockingly high. Um, our youth unemployment rates, nothing to write home about. And yet somehow, some way, we are no closer to fixing this thing. We are no closer to understanding exactly what the solutions are towards this thing. And the reason is because we're all guilty. We are all very much guilty. We're guilty because one, we have been we have been trained to be hopeless. We have been trained to be hopeless. And wherever you don't have even hope self nodi, it's impossible to be able to make any kind of positive change. It is impossible to be able to bring any kind of change. I heard something last year that really broke my heart. And this was an interview, I think it was at the time, with the Chief Minister of Sierra Leone, Dr. Moinina David Senge. And it was around the time when they were giving heat to the churches and the mosques when it comes to the whole EDSA electricity stuff. And here's the thing, what was reportedly said was that even if Jesus himself said, come, he's not able to fix alone. That's what the chief minister said. Am I wrong? Please, anyone on this live, if I'm wrong, just tell me so I don't continue. Because I know what I read, I know what I saw, I know what I had. Am I wrong? Did our chief minister not say even if Jesus Christ himself self came down, he's not going to fix the country? I'm assuming I'm not wrong. So here's the problem with that. The thing is, if His Excellency the President has put somebody on top, um, as the head, as a lead, to say this is the boss, this is the minister of all ministers, he is in charge, right? And this man is saying that even Jesus Christ cannot fix the country. Then what? Why are they paying these people? Then it means they can't fix the country. If you're saying even if Jesus cannot fix the country, then that means you cannot fix the country. And if you cannot fix the country, why are we paying your salary? Why are we paying all of you guys to run around when you know that you can't fix the country and you believe that even Jesus cannot fix the country? Let me tell you something that's funny about that statement. Everywhere that Jesus Christ went, he performed miracles. Wherever he was asked, there was never a time or a place that Jesus went where he was needed, where he was asked, and he didn't help. Not once. Go check it out. I'm not an expert at this thing. I'm new. I'm just learning. So if there's someone here that knows better than I do, please share, educate me. Everywhere Jesus went, even to people who you and I, with our holy self, our pompous self, would have turned down. We would have said, no, don't bless this one, don't save this one, don't heal this one. Jesus ensured that he healed and he blessed and he saved them. In fact, there was only one time that Jesus couldn't perform a miracle. Just one time. And that was when he was with his own people because their unbelief was so strong. So if the chief minister is saying, even if Jesus comes, he cannot fix it, that means his unbelief is so strong that he's correct. Jesus is not fighting to do a miracle for you. Jesus does not fight to do miracles for people. We need to get to a place of brokenness and honesty where we say, Papa God, we really need your help. We have failed. We have lost all the ideas. Right about now, we don't know what we're doing. We need your help to give us wisdom and strength and guidance so that we can do the right thing. We can do the right thing for our people. We can do the right thing for generations to come. But somehow, some way, if a man is telling you that even if Jesus came, he can't fix it, then it's more than likely that Jesus will be like, okay, well, by thy fruits you shall know them. As you think in your heart, so you are. In fact, there was only one place that Jesus cursed. Apart from the fact that he flogged the guys in the temple who were hypocrites, they were buying and selling, similar to what a lot of our people in leadership do sometimes. We buy and we sell, but we're not really fulfilling the greater purpose uh, for which we were there, right? So apart from that moment, we know that Jesus cursed the fig tree. He cursed the fig tree because the fig tree was not bearing fruit. And if you were to look at Sierra Leone right now, it's almost like Sierra Leone is similar to that fig tree. I don't think the country is bearing the kind of fruits that it's supposed to be bearing, you know. And at the end of the day, we know the word says, to whom much is given, much is expected. It says, he that has, that shall, he that hasn't, even that which he has shall be taken from him. So even when we say we'll not get, we pull, money not there, with this, with it, with it. If the longer we continue with that rhetoric, the longer we are going to see that same result. So I only brought that up from a spiritual perspective to say that as far as leadership is concerned, we know that across the world, the leadership core are in disarray. We know that for a very long time now, governments have not been working for the people. We know that governments have just been a conduit for people to get wealthy. We can see this in the Americas, we can see this in the United Kingdom, we can see this in the Middle East, and we can see this around and across the African continent. And so, what am I saying? It's not personal to Sierra Leone. If we say that governments have not been functioning well and they have not really been able to deliver, it's not that we're trying to criticize anyone. We're just saying that the human race as a whole, we have a problem. And part of the problem that we have is that we do not have the ideas to free and liberate our people. Everything that we are working towards has been a system of exploitation. What do I mean? The men exploit the women exploit the men, the adults exploit the younger one, the younger ones exploit the even younger one. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. So what we have is just a system of exploitation. Everybody is just exploiting. Knock not the left for me. I pass and pay you, pass and pay me. I send and so you send unto me. And the reality is that as far as governance is concerned, hey, Okomi, welcome to see you at the Adventist store. Um, as far as governance is concerned, we have lost the plot. And until we go back to the drawing board, we create a system where if we are in government, everybody benefits. Everybody has access to reasonable services. It doesn't matter. I don't need to be from your tribe for me to enjoy. I don't need to be from your region for me to enjoy. I just need to be a citizen. Like I ask soon about waiting at the biggest benefit where that's SL passport get. What is the biggest benefit you have as an SL citizen? If you go to America as an American, I'm an American citizen. The passport has weights. There are some things you will not do to an American citizen because you know the full force of the government of America will be on your tail. If you kidnap an American citizen, the American, the CIA, and all those responsible, they will do their level best. They will even send soldiers to come and rescue that one. Well, hey, my people, my country, our passports. If they were to kidnap you in another country with the passport you hold, be honest to yourself. Who's coming to save you? Okay, what do you think will happen? So I'm laughing because it's kind of comical, but at the same time, it's very serious. It's very serious because remember, the biggest thing right now is life and death. All these other things that we're running around occupying ourselves with, they're distractions. They are distractions. They are really not the most important things. The most important thing is life, and people are losing their lives. People are dying. People are passing. And I know that that is the natural cycle of life. Some are born, some die. We know. But when you look at a society where everybody is just depressed, everybody is just add up, everybody is just tormented, everybody is suffering from one level of post-traumatic stress disorder or the other. One, everybody has these challenges, and the thing is, for my friends in the diaspora, my JC friends, you don't know Sierra Leone because you only go to Sierra Leone for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. I used to be like you. From 2011 to 2016, I'll go and come 4, 5, 6 times a year. I've been in Sierra Leone 2 weeks. I've left London, traveled to Freetown for 7 days, gone back to London. I did all of that. But what I used to see was the freedom because it was in snapshots. I was seeing it in little bits and pieces, right? Whereas when I went to live there, when you live in the country from January 1 till the next year, January 1, you don't go anywhere, you live there. That's when you truly understand what our society is made of. That's when you see that anything goes, anybody can do anything at any point in time. Nobody knows the talent. There's no scruples. We can live in a place I can get up tomorrow morning and in the Bill Bafa na junction. And it's okay. I remember there was a point in time we lived in Malama. There was a pastor, a so-called pastor, who was trying to build his house, and they were trying to do this landfill. So they've dug so much dirt. It was like literally 2 town lots worth of dirt. And these people, they're not afraid God will make them. All the dirty from this town lot big, they were putting it down the waterway from Malama. And how dirty then they when the rain comes, now then they go block the gutter them, now then they turn to silt, and they are the reasons why we have all this flooding further down the line. But it starts with that guy up by Malama who feels he's above the law, that can just take his landfill dirt, a few tons of dirt, and just pour it down the stream. That's what I lived with. And that was a pastor across the house. I remember I called the city council team at the time. And it was so sad that I called the team at the time for them to come and do something. And the first thing the guy told me is that we'll not get fuel for the vehicle. He had no fuel for the vehicle. So I smile not to take the mic. Believe you me, the Freetown City Council, the Metropolitan Police are very stretched. They're under resourced and overstretched. Imagine you have about 100 officers for a city whose daytime population is like 1.2, 1.3 million people. Like, forget about it. It's impossible. They're not going to succeed in delivering the services and keeping the level of order that they're mandated to. But again, they shouldn't need to. This is a man of God. I remember in the end, as that particular story goes, I was so disappointed that I literally had to send the money for the city council guys to get fuel to be able to go up there and just talk to this guy. And in the meantime, whilst we were doing that, you foresee the people that were being already dirty inside the stream. They were very rude. They were very disrespectful. They make all kind mods. You know Saloma now. Oh my God, all kind mods. But then as soon as the city council truck of police arrive, if you see them, would I go hide na latrine in Herbo Comonado? And I was disappointed because that just really was a revelation of how our people are. We have reached a stage now where we not get one afraid. All man they talk big, talk disrespectful, but really like they can't back it up, you know. But with they talk all kind of hype, we not get no respect for age, no respect for authority, no respect for the law, no respect for our communities. But at the same time, um, When he gets down, we start running, we start hiding, we start begging, do for God, do for God, do for God, Paddy man, do for God. Um, so it's almost like when we talk about issues of governance and leadership, we have to move past APC, SLPP. These are my insights. This is what I feel. This is what I know based on interacting for the last 13 years without any distraction, just me and Salome, me and Salome, me and Salome in different diverse capacities. I am convinced that the only way we're going to have great effective leadership for everyone is when we move away from this SLPP APC thing. Because guess what? SLPP and APC, in essence, at the very foundation, now one. It was one party that split into two. And that one party was split into two, and then done the lead we so far. And the question is, are we happy with the leadership? I'm not asking for the political sycophants to answer that question. I'm asking honestly, as an objective citizen, whether you're green or red or whatever color it is, are we happy with the nation that we have created? Are we happy with the society we have created? Are we winning international accolades? What international awards are we winning? And I'm not, anyway, I'll leave with one question and then I'll move on. Um, I'd like to bring in someone onto the call shortly, onto the broadcast shortly. But I'll ask one question. And my question is simply this: has it ever struck you as strange the fact that we do not have one Salome person who will get holiday after? We not get one Salome man in the whole history of Salome. We not get one Salome who all agree say, you know what, this person here, so he really embody what it is to be a true leader, a community champion, and we all agree. Like we said, Malcolm X. It doesn't matter what you think about Malcolm X, whether you are non-violent, Black Panther, or whatever. We all know what Malcolm stands for. Bob Marley, we know what Bob stands for. Nelson Mandela, we knew what he stands for, right? Kwame Nkrumah, we know what Kwame Nkrumah stood for. But we don't have one person as a nation. There was a guy called David Sinikul, and I'll leave this with you. You guys may have heard of David Sinikul. Have you heard of David Sinikul? So there's a famous saying by one of our former head of states, Papa Sheki. He said, then say waiting and said, by Lobari, you said David Sinikul. I didn't know what that meant until quite recently. David Seneko was a polymath. He was a global superstar years before there were global superstars. David Seneko was the head of, if I'm not mistaken, he was the head of Frobe College. David Seneko was a scientist. He was renowned and celebrated across the world. There are places that you go to where they have buildings named after him. They have courses inspired by David Seneko. His contribution to the world of science was phenomenal. He's the kind of person that we would have easily had a public holiday and we can celebrate because he was brilliant. But here comes our president who says that Bailo Barry, although at the same time you cannot fault or you cannot take anything from Bailo Barry, but Bailo Barry had money. So our president thought that money was more important than intelligence. So what he was saying is, then say money, you say intelligence. Now here's the problem: you could get money, you still cool. You could be intelligent, but you still add up. You can get money, but you're cool. You could be intelligent, but you still add up. So rather than play the two against each other, how about we embrace both of them for what they are and we celebrate the best and we find a way to build from that? See, I think that's part of the problem and that's part of the manipulation. And I'll leave this one. The fact that the fact that everything in our nation is zero sum, is either or. It's either APC or SLPP, either me or you, either win or you lose. We have not trained our minds to create a pattern where we have a win-win situation. Where we have a win-win situation. Yes, we know there must be winners, we know there must be losers. But these winners and losers are sitting a system of silly beggars. So every 4 or 8 years, we'll change the chair. Man in cancer, pata 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 pata, blame the last government. Then strike, then fet. But they're not able to move forward because the opposition are just opposing. Even if not a good idea, then they oppose. Then just they oppose. And half of the population, even if the government tried to do something for those areas, they do not they do not embrace it, and they do not embrace it for one simple reason, because it's political. Not only party then a power, so I'm not going to accept any kind of progress. And this is not just limited to Sierra Leone. We have seen this in other African countries. We know that this is how Africans relate to things. This is how we relate to politics. Sometimes we get so emotional that we will literally, as then can say, we will cut our faces to spite, cut our nose, sorry. We'll cut our nose to spite our face. And we can see that. I can remember living in a place where we had absolutely no electricity. With a big say, but they're not going to connect. We let them connect us. We would do anything. We will pay. We're ready to be connected onto the grid. But guess what? Guess what? At that same time, they were taking the electrification to the other side, which was Tombowala or Tombo. And they went to Tombo to electrify Tombo. And you know what happened in Tombo? The people of Tombo said, no, we don't want electricity. They burn all the electric poles. And we were there on the other side of town thinking, please, if only they could just connect us so we can have electricity to go along and do our daily chores and do our tasks and do our work. So here's the thing. If you ask me about my insights on politics, it will be as this, and this is where it stops. I think the current system we have is one that is created to distract us. Whilst a number of people will get wealthy and they will move forward, the majority of the country is living in abject poverty and we're going backwards. And until we come together and we agree to say, you know what, we need to be able to create a system that benefits everyone. And I'm not talking about some fictitious system. Right now, as it stands, we have the devolution, the Lands Act. We have not implemented it. Why? Because we want all the control to be with central government. So rather than have mechanics who go do what you're doing, prioritize your budget, prioritize the areas of intervention. Kenama, you do the same. Poloko do the same. Kailan do the same. Freetown do the same. No, everything has to go through that bureaucracy and red tape of going through the central government. And for as long as that is the way we're going to run our affairs, we're going to be very slow to make decisions. We're going to be very slow to respond to the needs of our people, and we're going to be giving them excuses for years and years and decades to come. So, as far as politics is concerned, I want to really just appeal to my fellow young compatriots, my fellow patriots. The old way hasn't worked. We have been trying this one way since 1961, and we have not moved any further than 1967. Are we going to keep trying this old way? And do we expect that it will magically change? Because that's not how it works. And for those who are absolutely pessimistic, those who believe that there's absolutely nothing you can do in this world for fix alone, I just want you to remember that the Israelites were slaves for 400 years. For 400 years, these guys were slaves. And in one night, they came out. Not only did they come out in one night, they came out as a wealthy nation, at least the start of a very wealthy nation. So I'm saying that nothing is impossible for Salon. Nothing is impossible for our people. We can grow. We can achieve There are other nations who have done similar things. There are other nations who have had similar challenges, and they've been able to grow, and they've been able to reach and attain higher heights. So we can also do the same. Exactly, Auntie Malvia. We have Bible or Sengbe Pierre. We have movies made about these guys, but in our own space, we don't recognize them. So we cannot even point to a template of this is what a super Saloma looks like. We cannot. We truly cannot. And it's really, really disheartening. I'm trying to find a book which I wanted to share an extract. So I have a book, 50 Heroes. I have a book about 50 heroes, and these 50 heroes from Salon are heroes that I want us to look like. Are they? Can we find any heroes that cut across, heroes that attract all of us, or are we going to just stick with what we have? Anyway, as far as politics is concerned, that's my stance. I will always respect and I will always work with the government of the day, the government at hand. But at the same time, we want more. We want to see more for our people. We want to see bigger changes. We want to see better development, and we want to see fairness. We can't have somebody go and kill someone, and just because they're involved with this particular party or the other, they get away with murder. Literally, that we don't think it's fair. Okay. Um, but as far as politics is concerned, those are my views. I stand by them. I do not have the typical Creole perspective of, oh, we're not involved in politics. We know they talk about politics. No, I don't really buy that. When we go and we sit down, and there's a fuel shortage, right? Let's say there's a fuel shortage, and we go to the fuel station. Do you think your tribe or your political party counts? No, absolutely not. It does not count at all. So, if we can create an equitable society, we have access to things we want, where people can have opportunities, not just because of their political affiliation or their tribal affiliation, then we would have done something worth celebrating. But until then, I think really and truly, the most important thing is that we just have to continue to keep peace. As long as we have peace, we can have development. Without peace, there is no development. Okay. So now the talk, Andy, as far as politics is concerned, that's where we stand. I want to also take this opportunity to thank you all again for staying on this second half of the live. Um, my opinions are mine. I stand by them. I appreciate all the suggestions which you have shared with me. I appreciate the questions which you have shared. Um, I'll try and proceed to the second half now. Are we still here? I could see the guys on the YouTube are a lot more active. The guys on YouTube are a lot more active. What's going on Facebook, people? Are you here? All right, moving on. Moving on to the second section now. Someone asked me what my community plans are. Community plans. Okay, so to be honest, the way we move, we put everything to God in prayer. Sorry, guys, I need to take my hair out. We leave everything to God in prayer. And what do I mean? I'm not trying to be terribly spiritual. Of course, we plan, we do our feasibility studies, we ensure that we do a thorough SWOT analysis, and then we put things to prayer, and then we go out and execute. This is what I can share. That there are going to be lots of projects, there's going to be lots of interventions. If you have worked with me or you know someone who has worked with me, then you know exactly what is valuable to us. You know what our system of operation is, and you know what we stand for. And we're going to continue creating opportunities to empower young people. We're going to create skills training, capacity development for young people that want to be involved with multimedia. We're going to ensure that we create safe spaces for young women who want to get into the creative arts and entertainment and don't feel like they necessarily need to trade their body for it. We don't feel they need to. We feel like media skills should be accessed by all, regardless of your gender. And because you're a woman does not mean we need to take anything extra from you to be able to grant you these opportunities or capacitate you to be able to um, exploit and benefit from these opportunities. We're also providing digital and technological solutions. We know that where we are now as a country, the challenges are many. As Ambassador can say, the issues are many. But despite the fact that the issues are many, we live in a world where there are market ready technological solutions to a lot of the problems we face. Why are we not using these technologies? So personally, my team and I, we have been working towards developing solutions, tech solutions within the fintech and also the creative space that will capacitate our young people to give them leverage and access to this digital market. There's a global market that is really big and has an appetite for African content. We want to be able to give our young people the opportunity to work within that. And also, we will continue telling stories. We'll continue telling stories by way of TV series, movies, short documentaries, films, and even podcast sessions. I've already got 3 guests that have signed up that would like to join me. The podcast session is called Broken, Not Wasted. Broken yet valuable. So we're basically saying because you're broken does not mean that you're useless. Because something is broken does not mean that it does not have any value, right? And we're drawing from stories of people who have gone through difficult situations, people who have seen great loss, people who have gone through heartbreaking, heart-rendering situations, but yet still they refuse to give up and they keep persevering. And we're basically tapping into that. We want to be able to tap into that so that we can share from their learning, share from their experiences. Okay. So, in terms of our community activities, that is another one. I have a big surprise which we will release in the coming weeks. Please stay glued to this platform. It's a huge collaboration. Unfortunately, I can't speak out about it now because of legal restrictions, but it's a great collaboration that I think would benefit close to about 5,000 young people. So please watch the space for that. Um, I think the third thing on my list is the priceless jewels. What priceless jewels have you discovered on this journey? So I think there are 3 priceless jewels that I've discovered, and I'd like to share and leave you guys with this if you'd permit me. Number one, salon beautiful, but if it's not organized, the beauty becomes the very thing, the very fuel that makes us more depressed. What do I mean? All those years I was going back and forth, I was like, salon fine. The beauty is never hidden. Even when we get upset at lunge, after we don't travel, we don't get we luggage. If it happens, so they cross during the day. It happens, so they cross at a time before sunset. As soon as we begin cross, whether na ferry, na pampa, or na sea coach, the one thing we all agree on is, man, this place is beautiful. Man, this place is awesome. So we agree on the beauty of it all. And as people who don't live there, sometimes diaspora and returnees will see the beauty more than those who live there. Those who live there, they see the beauty every day, but there's so many other challenges that after a while They become numb to the beauty. They don't see it the way we see it, right? So this beauty, salon fine, salon beautiful. Yeah, we know, but we have to get past that. We need to get past salon fine, salon beautiful. How do we make it in a way where everybody will have the opportunity to enjoy that beauty? I used to walk at that beach from number two to Toke. Did you know that once you get to Toke Sands, I think, where there is this contender, you're not even allowed to walk in front of Toke Sands. It's so insane. Like the average Salomon, like there was one morning where they tried it with me, and unfortunately, it backfired for them because I know who I am and I know what I'm on, and I'm not gonna have him violate me like that. The guy tell me, say, no, no, waka there. So say, well, I go waka inside the water. I say, no, sit down there. So again, I have a video log of that. I'll share that video. I don't want to segue into that story. But needless to say, I sat down. Where I sat down, I told them I'm not moving because I am a Sierra Leonean. This is my country. I'm not a criminal. I'm just, you guys have dug an artificial bridge and now there's a flood where the helipad at Tokyo was. So I cross over. This is where the money was. I'm not moving at all. Um, I sat down there. I was recording the whole interaction. First and send the muscle guy. I wasn't having it. Muscle guy go call the manager. Manager try for be sarcastic. I wasn't having it until they ended up calling. I think one of the owners who was a Lebanese. He came out. We had a chat. He was very polite, civilized. I expressed to him the fact that I walk up and down this beach every Sunday. This is what I do. This is what I do with my Sunday mornings. It's my beach work. I listen to my music, I pray, I move around. Like it's what I do. And I just want to sit down for a second so I can drink some water and move. And he allowed me to do that, you know. But it had me thinking if I was one of these kind of other local boys, they would have just violated him, buoyed him off, and told him to keep moving, right? So the average Salon man, not they enjoy the beauty of Salon. So Law left for taught the beauty of Salon, put an we aid because they use them as a distraction. It's like you get fine, fine, fine thing where useless. You know, able eat them, you know, get not used to you, and the fineness no more you dey talk about for money internet. The fineness self, you know, will enjoy the fineness much. Okay, so that's one. The beauty of the land, the natural resources, the beaches, etc. We need to get past just admiring them. We need to start to get into protect them and making them accessible to people. And also, how do we increase the value of them without destroying it? Because I know some of you be like, yeah, Black Johnson, you know, almost 100 million now, but I'm bring inside. Yeah, but we're about to destroy the beach, sell it, and turn it into a fish farm. So clearly, that's not really the idea that we have. We have to find a way to protect our ecosystem whilst making it accessible to those who are within the country, and at the same time, leveraging extra finances from that. Second of the third jewel, we need to work on how we train our children. When we were growing up, I grew up in a strict Creole household where they really believe that children should be seen and not heard. And as much as that was good, as much as we take training, as much as in many areas, I'm glad for the Creole training and upbringing, I also realized that part of our social orientation, it dulls our children. From a very young age, they beat them as you want, talk to you, slap them as you want, make any suggestion outside of what you want as a parent. We take it as an affront. We're threatened by it. And now we've got to really show that child that we are the adult. And as much as that might satisfy us temporarily, what you're doing is you're telling that child that they shouldn't ask any questions, even if they see something that is wrong and they feel there's a different way. They should just close their mouth and get on with it. And so when that child grows up later on and they jump into politics and they do not have the backbone or the wherewithal or the orientation to question things, to ask things, ask difficult questions, how are they going to be an effective politician? After a while, they're just going to realize, hey, listen, I'm here. I'm just gonna make some money for my own family. I'm gonna do what I can. Me one not go able to save Salon. Remember, Chief Minister been on talk say even if Jesus come, Salon not get for fix. So Lord might for himself. And so I smile and I laugh about that, but that's the reality. That is what happens. So we have to just work on how we train our young people. We need to update our society. We need to update our understanding of things. We need to update our understanding of the world. We need to stop beating our children into submission and into subserviency. We need to stop beating our children to the point where these children are now slaves. And then we expect them to go out in the world and be bold, be brave, be strong, and have independent thoughts. It is impossible because each time we beat those children, we have already destroyed that part of them. Okay. Um, the third part, I think the third jewel that I have found about Excel that I want to share is that God is real, is that God exists, is that God is still active, is that God is still in the business of doing miracles, is that God can restore Sierra Leone, is that God can heal Salon, is that God can build Salon. But we have to first be honest. We got to pull we and pan certain things then. You see, it says, they that worship the Lord must worship him in spirit and in truth. Um, it really, really just means that we have to be honest in how we do things. We have to be honest in how we move. Now, it'll be difficult for the majority of the population because back foot and front foot they follow. So if our leaders or the people who are our influencers, our leaders, do not get this right, do not show us what truth and integrity and doing the right thing means, then it's going to be hard to expect the citizens just to randomly go and get it for themselves. Burkina Faso means the land of the upright men. Burkina Faso. I'm so fascinated by that name because if you're in a country called Land of the Upright Men, right, you're more likely to be thinking in an upright manner. Unless otherwise, and we know due to the francophone stuff, we know they had dodgy governments, corrupt government officials. We know for sure that when you mention Burkina Faso, what you utter has life. You give life by what you speak, right? So when we mention the words of Burkina Faso, it comes to mind uprightness, right? Um, what words do we have in Salon that calls to mind uprightness? What mind, what words do we have that come to mind? That means integrity in our language. What words come to mind that mean innovation locally? See, when we look at all these countries like Rwanda, we look at Kenya, and I think I was doing a bit of research. There was another country, Eastern African country, it escapes me. But what they did with the digital revolution is that they took the entire IT syllabus and they broke it down to a local language. And so, because they broke it down to a local language, people were able to understand it better. So maybe, yeah, they don't speak all this big English and they don't know the whole complex, Anglo grammatic settings and stuff. But here's what they know in their local language how to program, how to code, how to do solar, how to build networks, right? So the reality is this, and it stands. We have to find a better way to do things. We need to find a better language. We need to explore the systems that already exist. We need to be able to put things in exactly Malvia, exactly as Malvia has just mentioned in all of our languages. We have so many people. I know they're not literally say salon small, salon small. Salon small, salon small. Comparatively speaking, salon small. If you believe say salon small, waka from Bumbuna go freedom. Salone is not small. The country huge, big enough space they say left. If only we could get this Land Act that we had signed since 2007 to kick in, so that different areas can be developing simultaneously. It's not necessarily dependent on just central government. Then I think we will start to see differences. I think the fact that God exists can be seen in many areas. One, we haven't fallen back into a civil war. Did you know that within the first 10 years of coming out of a civil war, we are 4 times more likely to go back into war? We haven't. We have great religious tolerance. It doesn't matter what happens, we never come out and we never start fighting because of religion, which kudos. I pray we continue that. But also, with so many different things that have happened, we're such a resilient nation. And that resilience in our nature stems from the fact that we are a people backed by God. Yes, sometimes He's not happy with the way we do things. Yes, sometimes we bring calamities upon ourselves. Yes, sometimes we have no clear idea of how to do things properly. But at the same time, if we can humble ourselves, if we can look towards God, we can honestly ask for help. He will be faithful and He will help us. We cannot do it on our own. The way the system is right now, it all reached the stage where we do need that extra intervention. We need that supernatural help. If we left our normal to Solomon's sense, we'll be here when the country is 75, 83, 98, maybe till like the 115th independence. That's when we'll start to figure out things. And by then, maybe the country would have been bought by China, Russia, or any of the other emerging world powers. So for us who say we are believers, for us who are patriots, for us who really have this dream, although the dream might seem a bit impossible, it might seem even delusional because most other people won't have the same belief, most other people won't have the same faith. For us who believe, we have to put our faith into action. And it starts by the way we interact with people on a daily basis, and also what we believe, what we think, and what we share with others. As far as our leaders are concerned, if they truly have the best interest of our nation at heart, they need to go and humble themselves and go back to God. They understand that they are humans. I saw um, Fode Sankar, I saw images of Fode Sankar before he passed away. We all know what state Shaka Stevens was in before he passed away. I saw His Excellency Alhaji Ahmed Tijan Kaba in London, his last trip where he flew to London. I was on the same flight. I saw him on a wheelchair and he was just drooling. He was in a bad state. I saw some of our citizens, whilst the guys sit on a chair, they drool all kinds of things, they were still going up to him taking selfies. So, why I say all of this to say, it doesn't matter how powerful you are now. It doesn't matter how many suits you have, how much money you have, how much access you have. Joabas taught us something called styrofoam cup, and I will share the styrofoam cup with you. The styrofoam cup is a metaphor that we must all be mindful of, because there is a time when we are very important. Once you have coffee or you have whatever it is you put in your styrofoam cup, that styrofoam cup is very, very important. It is the most important thing. But the moment you finish drinking whatever the contents of your styrofoam cup is, the styrofoam cup becomes useless. In fact, you're finding the quickest way to throw it away, to get rid of it, because it's so light, you could even just leave it and walk away. Leadership and position is the same. Today you have the power, you've got the access, you can do whatever. But there's a tomorrow, and that tomorrow is more important than today. That tomorrow is going to make today make more sense. It says, what shall it profit a man if he gains the entire world and loses his soul? Can you imagine? So, what is it if, whilst now you've got the upper hand, you gain everything, for them to come and take it all from you tomorrow and put you in a place of sorrow? What benefit would that bring to you, right? So, if you're in leadership, as I know a number of my brothers and sisters are at the moment, I will implore you to do the right thing because it's the right thing. I'll ask of you to do the right thing for the sake of the right thing. I will ask of you to remember that there's a tomorrow. I will ask of you to remember that yesterday you guys were there thinking, hoping, rearing, preparing, just waiting for the opportunity to be able to come out and do something for your nation. Now you have the opportunity, do it. And the best way for you to do your job is for you to get aligned with God. If you're a leader of a church, a leader of a department, a leader of a ministry, a school, you run a business, a leader of a family, whatever it is that you have influence over, let's get to God. Let's soak our actions and our activities and our plans in the word and the will of God, because that is the only sustainable thing. Excuse us. As I mentioned before, leadership has failed across the world. Just look at the Middle East, look at North Korea, look at America, look at what's happening in Europe, look at what's happening in Haiti, look at what's happening in so many parts of Africa, the Congo, and you realize that we have failed. Leadership that mankind offers has failed. The only thing we need to do now is to ask the Creator to give us the strength, the energy, the wisdom, the ability, and the capacity to do that which is the right thing, to lead in a way that our people will be happy to go back closer to God. Okay? That is the third jewel. So the first jewel is don't get too captivated by the beauty of the nation, of the land. It is a distraction. If you watch the beauty of the land too much, you totally miss the pain. And in your mind, everything is hunky dory, bowling, 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 bowling. But in reality, people are dying for like basic things. 500 Leon able to save somebody in life, but someone passed away yesterday because 500 Leon was not available to take care of one or two things that could have prolonged their life. The second thing is we got to watch how we teach our children, how we treat them, because they are the future leaders. If right now any activity begin do with the tension and beat them, slap them, Allah upon them, pressure them, totally subdue them, break them down, traumatize them. Away don't big. If you say he go learn how for stand up for himself, and that time he go become bold. No, by the time we don't big, that same trauma we don't carry, that would be the level ground from which every action that they do is built upon or is derived from. And number three, God, God, God. I came here to give a testimony. I feel like I've given my testimony. My testimony continues. My broadcast is not a victory dance. We are not at the finish line. My broadcast is a call to arms for soldiers of light. Soldiers of light. Where we're going now, it's very clear. It's a battle between light and darkness, and you got to know where you stand. If you stand for darkness, that's you, but just know that you lose. Light always wins, darkness always loses to light. So if you stand for darkness, that's your choice. But let me tell you, you're already on the losing side. And if you stand for light, you have to stand proudly for the light. It doesn't matter how you appear or how people think about you or what people say about you. You're gonna meet people who don't believe. Some people are like, all of that stuff, they're in the middle. I guarantee you, the people who do not believe in either light or darkness are the first victims. They're gonna be the first casualties of the war. And that's the reality. And this war I'm talking about, it's not a physical war. We're not walking around cutting arms and legs. We're not fighting. We're not robbing people. We're just fighting at a higher frequency to ensure that the light of God continues to shine in our lives and in our nation. As I was meditating earlier on, I randomly was just flipping through the Bible, and I landed on towards the end of Job. Now we've all had the story of Job. I didn't know when I was going to church. I thought, okay, Job was a good guy. Job was had all of these punishments, but God loved him, and that's all I knew about the story. But as an adult now, as we read more and more, as we learn more and more, I understand what happened with Job. And Job is lucky because he had friends he was reasoning with. And that's why I want to thank you guys for logging into this live, for staying on this live, those who are going to watch later, for sharing, for liking, for commenting, for PVing me, and all of that. Because it is through our interaction, our exchange of thoughts and ideas, that's how things are developed and things are birthed and things are processed. Job had some very good friends that he used to reason with, and it was in this reasoning back and forth as he was questioning God, he was chatting to his guys and his peoples. That is how Job was able to unlock certain things. And I want to leave something with you guys. I really, really want to leave something with you guys. Okay. Um, our country has gone through a lot. Our people have gone through a lot. But we need to first of all learn and believe in the power of restoration. That God can restore the years the cankerworm and the palmerworm has eaten. He can bring to restoration. The Israelites were enslaved for 400 years and in one night. So therefore, there's nobody that can tell me for our freedom, but I do feel strongly that in one night we have such a seismic shift that everything starts to follow on with that. And I'll leave you with this. If you'll allow me, I'll just leave you with this. It's Job 42. This was after Job had been questioning God. Job was being on a bad man thing. And somehow God had to break it down for him, show him that, listen, you don't know nothing. Like, what do you really know? I know you think you know, but what do you know? Do you know this, that, and the other? And after God had finished asking Job, Job, you, we get sense, answer these ones. After Job realized he couldn't answer them, this is what Job ended up with. And he said, then Job answered the Lord. He said, I know the Lord. He said, I know, Lord, that you are all powerful and that you can do everything you want. You ask, how dare I question your wisdom when I am so very ignorant? I talked about the things I did not understand, about marvels too great for me to know. You told me to listen while you spoke and try to answer your questions. In the past, I knew only what others had told me. Now, I have seen you with my own eyes. So I am ashamed of all I have said and repent in my dust and my ashes. And after the Lord had finished speaking to Job, he said to Eliphaz, his friend, I am angry with you and your two friends because you did not speak the truth about me, as my servant Job did. Now take 7 bulls and 7 rams to Job and offer them as a sacrifice for yourselves. Job will pray for you. I will answer his prayer and not disgrace you as you deserve. So you see, God is a God who's merciful. Okay? He knows that sometimes he knows what we deserve, but if we pray and we ask for mercy and we align ourselves and we seek him in truth and we make a commitment to do the right thing, he will also do that which only he can do. He will also do that which we are unable to do. So I say this just to encourage you, whoever you are, wherever you are, in whatever capacity you watch this video in, whatever pain you're going, whatever hopeless situation, I have seen the God that sees me. I know who my God is. What I'm saying to you now, I'm not telling you what they told me. I'm not telling you what a pastor told me, what my parents told me. I'm telling you what I have discovered myself one on one in my quest for God over the last God knows how many decades. So I say that in closing, my journey isn't finished yet. Yes, this is the final of this two-part series, but I'm sure there will be more to come in the coming weeks, in the coming months, and in the coming seasons. And I look forward to working with you. I look forward to growing with you guys. I look forward to getting to a situation where we can add value. We can do something that will make others know that indeed this is the hand of God at work. And so I'll say, last but not least, to my honorable chief minister, Jesus can do amazing things for Sierra Leone, but only if you guys, as the leaders, humble yourself and get yourself aligned, get yourselves in line, study the word more, study what God's leadership looks like, what God's kingdom here on earth looks like, and you work towards that. And I promise you, you guys, that former Athens of West Africa title that we had, will surpass that beyond anybody's imagination. But until then, I thank you all once again for listening, for logging in, for contributing, for commenting. I'm open to take questions if there are any questions. If there are no questions, I did say 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's been 1 hour and 46 minutes. I'm very mindful of the time. We may have to do another series, but I think for today, we can call it a night. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you found one or two things here that are sensible that you can take and implement in whatever it is you're doing. And if I've made any mistakes or you feel that I've been inaccurate about anything, feel free to comment, drop me a message, DM me. Let's talk about it. Let's engage. I thank you all once again. And I'll probably give a few minutes to see if there are any other comments or questions. If there aren't, we'll proceed to bringing this live to a speedy conclusion. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening. May God bless you and your families. Thank you, Jody Ojang. Thank you, Malvia. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Tarashid. Thank you, Maliko Maliki. And thank you to all those who are going to watch this later on, and those who are going to share and interact. And also then they go tell that brass say, hey, they want no live now. You know why they talk about. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Let's debate. Let's engage. Okay. Our chief minister is a very intelligent man. He's a scientist and a politician. Therefore, he should be able to understand and deal with complex concepts without really blurring the lines as to what's real, what's important, and what's not. So, thank you very much once again. The full video will be available on the link. And I look forward to catching up with you on the other side. Cheers.